Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the moon conjunct Mars in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in the natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy. So what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up as well, if you have the moon conjunct Mars in a natal chart, there may be an intense need, which is the moon, for action and activity, which is Mars. If your Mars is in Aquarius, could be a lot of action, a lot of activity, connected with astronomy, astrology, electronics, computers, meteorology, aviation, innovation as some examples. Um, Also, too, if you have this aspect in your natal chart, there may be very intense drive and motivation, which is Mars, to attain the emotional needs, which is the moon. If the moon is in Gemini, as an example, those emotional needs may include communication, assimilating and disseminating information, manual dexterity. It could be even mimicry in some cases. Um, could be about, you know, uh, really just a lot of, could be even having, just communication needs in general. Newspaper as another example. If the moon is in Scorpio, say those emotional needs may be connected, with power, control, transformation. Could be getting to the bottom of things, going beyond subterfuge and superficiality, as some other examples. Now, also, too, if you have the moon conjunct Mars in a natal chart, you could manifest in the emotions, which is the moon, and just your energy, which is Mars, may be strongly integrated. Um, you could have, Mars, if you have the conjunction, say in Gemini, that could be a lot of nervous and restless energy. If Mars is in the zodiac sign Cancer, there may be a lot of energy expended on home and introverted activities, matters pertaining to safety and security. Mars in Leo could be creative endeavors, as some other examples. And another thing about the moon conjunct Mars is that there may be a very strong expression of the emotions and feelings, which is the moon, and toward sexual partners, which is Mars. If the moon is in Libra, it could be very balanced, kind of emotions and feelings, and expressing feelings, about just having things being fair and equitable. As some examples. If Mars, you have your Mars in Libra, you have this conjunction in your natal chart. Well, sexual partners may be, Libra, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Libra characteristics. It could be people that are very charming, refined, tactful, diplomatic, sociable, cooperative, compromising, fair, equitable, balanced, as some examples. And another thing, too, is that you may, if you have the moon conjunct Mars in your natal chart, you may intensely nurture and care, which is the moon, for those people, as well for the, sexual, partners. And, if you have the conjunction, say in Gemini, it could be, nurturing and care through, mental, intellectual stimulation. If the conjunction, say, is in Virgo, it could be through, organization, helping the person keep their place organized, or just their life in general, cleaning, sanitizing, for that person, their home, as an example. So the thing, too, is if you have the moon conjunct Mars in the natal chart, it could also be where, you may be more emotional, which is the moon, over those things. You have that enthusiasm, which is Mars. For if Mars is in Sagittarius, say, there may be a strong enthusiasm for matters connected with publishing, advertising, printing press operation, philosophy, religion, sports, the outdoors, just simply expanding horizons, foreign travel. As some examples, if let's say if Mars is in Capricorn, as another example, those things you have the strong enthusiasm for may be tied in with business, the career, improving one's social status, stature in life, being successful. It may be something tied in with the government or politics, as some other examples. Now, another thing about the moon conjunct Mars in a natal chart, it could be where the mood, which is the moon, may be more emphasized in matters connected to leadership, which is Mars. And a lot of what you do in terms of leadership, whether it's actually being in a leadership role or it could be just simply expressing leadership through enterprise, through initiative, by being leading by example. A lot of it could be predicated and dependent on the mood that one is in. So I mean, if you have your moon in Cancer, you might be somewhat temperamental, and you might really be someone that really has to you really be in a strong mood to be able to do as far as leadership. If the moon is in Sagittarius, it could be when you're feeling more jovial, jocular, happy in general. That's when you may be in that mood, basically, to express the leadership prowess and ability. Now, also too, this aspect can also indicate that the situation with the family, which is the moon, may be contentious and combative, which is Mars at times. If the conjunction, say, is in Sagittarius, there may be a number of arguments pertaining to, one's opinions, philosophies, and beliefs. If it's in Aquarius, it could be matters pertaining, to human rights, or matters associated with freedom and independence, as some examples. Now, but at the same time, you may be someone that would be willing to fight, which is Mars, for your family members when necessary. So remember, the conjunction is a neutral aspect and can have good and bad qualities connected with it. Now, another thing about the moon conjunct Mars in a natal chart is that it could also manifest in sexual partners and leaders, which is Mars, may be really drawn to your unconscious side, which is the moon. Now, let's say if you have your moon in Pisces as an example, that unconscious side, maybe one, that's altruistic, sacrificing, forgiving, compassionate, empathetic. It could be one, that's somewhat passive as well, idealistic, trying to see the good in others, overlooking transgressions, as some examples. And another thing too, about the moon conjunct Mars in the natal chart, it can also emphasize responding, which is the moon, to matters pertaining to emergencies, which is Mars. And the thing about it is, if you have the conjunction in Taurus, it could be where one is very calm, composed, and nearly unflappable in matters pertaining, to crisis, emergency, situation. If Mars is in Gemini, or the conjunction is in Gemini, these things, emergencies, crisis situations, they may be tied in, to something with a car, getting a vehicle, started, when you really, in a critical situation, need to get somewhere, or getting somebody out of a vehicle, say that's locked, as some examples, somebody locked themselves in the vehicle, can't get themselves out, as another example. Now, another thing too about the moon conjunct Mars in the natal chart, it can indicate a greater propensity in terms of surgery, which is Mars, and it could be on the chest, breast, stomach, the ribs, the left or the right eye, depending on gender, which is the moon. And also at times the emotions, which is the moon, may be acerbic, which is Mars. If the conjunction is in Gemini, it could be very high-strung, excitable energy, and you're in manifold expressions of emotions and one's feelings. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.